Ever since we learned of the verdant mines, I haven't been able to stop thinking about them. They were clearly well-resourced in regards to both labor power and knowledge. And they had an extremely intimate knowledge of the Enclave's technology. But I've just connected the dots. We've actually met someone who was around to see their rise and fall. Kenric Stanild, the Eye, interim leader of the Enclave for upwards of 35 years.
Huh. Now that you mention it.
I don't know if he was involved with the events surrounding the Verdant Mind's attempt to take down the Veil, but he certainly bore witness.
So what are you thinking?
I'd like to send you out on a fact-finding mission for now. Meanwhile, I'll pore over my existing research for clues.
Gotcha. I'll be back when I found everything you're after.
Thanks, Brynn. I'll get to work here, too.
See what we've got here. These all seem to be speeches that the Eye delivered. These are dated 40 years ago. But I could still imagine him saying all of these things today. I'll need to get these back to Laen. It's a report blaming the Verdant Mines for an explosion in the Brynn. Supposedly, this explosion was the cause of the cyclical miasma floods. But we know that the floods were caused by a siren. This doesn't add up. Let's see. It seems to be information on Lucia's various projects. There are a lot of redactions here. Seems like someone was trying to hide something.
Most people couldn't even stand straight wearing one of those. You, however...
So what did we find out? Any big revelations? What's wrong?
This isn't what I expected at all. I think you need to read this yourself.
Well, sure, but... all right. This is one of Lucia's journals, right?
Yes.
I washed my hands of it, but they pressed onwards. He was fully aware of what I taught them, of course. What I'd taken from the Institute. And so, he let it happen. He knew they were going to try to pierce the veil, and now dozens are dead. He knew Vile, broke bread with them. But when they and the rest of the Verdant Minds went off to die, Kenrick just watched.
And now read this. A transcript of one of his speeches, delivered around the same time that journal entry was written.
We will root out these dissenter vermin at all levels of administration. Their ideology has claimed too many lives to be allowed to breathe free. In the meantime, to ensure peace and prosperity, martial law is in effect across remaining settlements. So he let the explosion happen, and used it for his own political gain. Wow. He's a real piece of work.
He didn't exactly engineer this, but he isn't innocent either. He sat back and allowed the Verdant Minds to try breaking through the veil. Then they unintentionally triggered a huge explosion, conveniently wiping themselves out in the process. And just like that, the Eye had a scapegoat on whom to blame the cyclical miasma floods. He used panic and fear to secure himself a spot as provisional leader. But everyone eventually forgot that provisional bit. I genuinely didn't expect this at all. I thought I'd find out that he'd just been mildly conniving all his life, not this.
So, what do we do about this then?
We need to confront him. He may be the Enclave's leader, but we can still take him to task on what he's covered up.
Wait, what? You really think that'll work?
Yes. I'll present him with our evidence, and he'll have to give us an explanation.
I'm open to the idea. But what makes you think he'll want to speak to us?
I'm confident in my powers of persuasion. I may be young, but a lifetime spent orbiting the seats of power in Judea. Well, let's just say that I know how to appeal to a politician's better judgment.
Well, I trust your judgment.
Excellent. I'll finish writing this dossier, and I'll meet you in Cassidon's Hold. Have faith.
It's not you who I'm lacking faith in. Trust me. Anyway, I'll see you at the Hold.
I won't be long.
Why do I feel as if I'm about to have my time wasted?
Please allow me to present my research. I promise it won't take but a moment. I've compiled a dossier concerning an event that occurred in the Enclave around 35 years ago.
And what event would that be, pray tell?
The attempt to pierce the veil. I can only assume you were familiar with the Verdant Mines.
The name rings a bell. It's been decades, as you said.
They were the subject of many of your speeches. It's interesting that your memory on the subject is hazy.
You'll forgive me for not remembering the exact wording or subject of any of the hundreds of speeches I've delivered throughout my career.
That's not a problem. I can summarize my findings. Firstly, our evidence suggests, with a high level of confidence, that you were aware of the Verdant Mines' plans to pierce the veil. Secondly, in support of that assertion, you gained this knowledge through your close relationship with the enchantress known as Lucia.
I never knew any enchantress by that name.
That's odd, since you seem to have been a recurring character in her personal journals. Though, truth be told, she didn't seem particularly fond of you in the later entries. So, back to the attempt to pierce the veil. You knew...
I knew that it would go poorly.
You knew?
Of course I did. But what does it matter?
You could have stopped it.
But I didn't. Pray tell, Lawkeeper, what goal did you hold in your mind as you traveled here?
I wanted to learn the truth about the past, to uncover what had been hidden.
Laen free selectis. That's who you are, yes?
That's correct. Though, I'm not sure how... never mind. But my research...
House Lectis of Judea. It's no wonder you felt the need to make something of yourself. Well, today will not be that day. Nor, I believe, will any. I won't waste my breath debating a jumped-up little snot from a house so consumed by cupidity that it can't even keep its hearths lit. Once a failure of a house, always a failure of a house. And it shows in your insipid rag parading as research.
Did you just call me a jumped-up little snot?
No, I didn't. You must have misheard me. Will that be all from you? I have other matters to attend to.
Skies! That is enough. Laen deserves better than this disrespect.
You dare to speak of respect? You, who broke into our home, who undid asylum, who attempts to destroy decades of societal progress.
I'm trying to help rebuild the enclave, not destroy it. Self-important jerks like you aren't helping.
I have single-handedly held back the tide of oblivion. I'm not self-important. I'm a damned hero. You and your lackey will remove yourselves from my presence, or I'll call the guards.
Brynn, thanks, but it's not worth it. I need to go.
Skies above. I was worried this would happen.
I can't even begin to explain how I feel. This is a disaster.
Did I make it worse?
No. No, not at all. Not for a moment. You were very kind and strong and supportive and courageous. I just... It reminded me of why I left.
Home.
Everything back there was all about your house. Your actions or intent never mattered. And when I tried to forge a different path in life, the knives came out. I had no real choice but to leave. I thought I had left it all in my past, but now, here we are.
For years, no matter how hard I trained, my last mentor, Aaron, told me I wasn't strong enough to be a point. When he eventually named one of his friends, Aram, the Weaver Band's new point, I was gutted. Even though he had no training, Aaron tried to convince me it made sense. Aram is just physiologically stronger than me. Of course, I took the first chance to get out after that, just like you did. But until then, as much as I tried to ignore what Aaron was saying, a part of me was afraid he was right. Sometimes, when you're told the same thing over and over, you can't help but wonder if it's true. So, what I'm trying to say is that this guy has found his way inside your head. But that'll pass, and it doesn't reflect on the quality of your research.
I appreciate that. I'll try to internalize it. But for now, I think I just need to consider my next moves. It might take a while.
Take all the time you need.
Thanks, Brynn.